In 1997, The Prodigy's third album, The Fad of the Land, signaled a turning point in the band's career, as it was a crossover hit with both rave and rock audiences and went on to sell over 10 million copies, making it the most successful album of their career. But its third and final single, which for the sake of this video and because it's YouTube, will refer to the BBC way of referencing the song, and I'll simply call it Smack. This song would be the subject of much controversy. Let's take a look at the controversy behind the song and why MTV rejected it. Before we get into the controversy around the track, let's talk a bit about his background. Smack was produced by bandleader Liam Howlett, and Howlett would send the track to 3 separate DJs to be remixed, including Johnny L, The Late Slacker, and DJ Hype. The song's title comes from the opening verse of the album track Give the Drummer Some by the hip-hop group Ultramagnetic MCs off their 1988 debut record Critical Beatdown. This is where part of the controversy would stem from, as rapper Kool Keith transitions between the lines Change My Pitch Up and Smack My Expletive Up like a pimp. Howlett would sample the 2 rhyming lines for the refrain of his own song, while choosing the latter line for its title. He'd later tell the publication Addicted to Noise that his decision to integrate the sample into the song was spontaneous, recalling, "The sample just works. There's really not one explanation for why I put it in there. When I was young and I was listening to songs by Ultramagnetic MCs, Public Enemy, and Schoolie D about guns, drugs, and women, it just had a good vibe, and tried to pick some of that up in the song, really," he'd say. Once it came time to put out the song as a single for The Prodigy, he'd go with the DJ Hype remix. The single would be released on November 17th, 1997, and aired regularly on alternative station Radio X, which at the time was called XFM, where it would eventually reach number 1 on the top 30 charts. It also received another boost through the live chart show Top of the Pops, where it was featured as part of their top 10 countdown. Over 3,000 promotional posters would be made using the name of the single as a promotional tool. As the song rose in popularity, it began to receive harsh criticism from feminist groups, particularly the National Organization for Women, or NOW, who deemed the song misogynistic given its refrain and the fact that it's repeated multiple times throughout. BBC Radio's One would air an instrumental version of the song, while their World Service charts simply referred to the song, as I do in this video, as Smack and chose not to play it. The single's accompanying music video, which premiered on MTV's 120 Minutes program, brought more fuel to the fire, as The Prodigy were accused by the same demographic of promoting violence against women. The video centers on a first-person view of a violent man engaging in hardcore drug use, drunk driving, and assault. Janice Rocco, who was now LA's chapter president at the time, was quoted by the San Francisco Chronicle as saying, "This teaches violence as a form of entertainment. The message is damaging in general, but particularly to children," she say. The song would be released as a single on Madonna's Maverick label, which was half owned by Warner Brothers, a subsidiary of Time Warner. Time Warner 5 years earlier went through another media firestorm when they put out Body Count's debut album with the song Cop Killer. Smack would strangely make its way through the American parent label Warner Brothers Internal Review Committee, resulting in the record not being sold with a parental advisory sticker, and it was also sold by Walmart and other big box retailers who frequently said no to selling records with violent or sexually explicit themes. Bob Mereles, Senior Vice President of Worldwide Corporate Communications for Warner Bros. Records, said that the company received no complaints from consumers or retailers about the song. As a result of the negative reaction to the lyrics of the song, the video had to be heavily edited and would be relegated to late-night rotation on MTV, and by December 22nd, it was taken off the network entirely, although MTV would later issue a statement claiming that their decision to remove the video wasn't influenced by the reaction to the song. On the other hand, Howlett would maintain a neutral stance on the song's theme, stating that it's simply about, and I quote, "doing anything intensely." In a separate interview, he'd tell Addicted to Noise that the song was based more so on the rhythmic influence rather than lyrical, saying, "The song is probably one of the most pointless songs I've ever written. But live, it works. It works well. Sometimes things can be so effing simple and you don't need an explanation of the lyrics. Why explain the lyrics? It either works or it doesn't. And for us, it works well live. It's a really exciting track and it's just a good hard track, you'd say." Howell elaborated further on the song's intention, saying, "I was into hip-hop and I was into the fact that MCs could rap about anything. It'd just be more comical than anything else." He would also recognize the impact of the song's sample in retrospect, saying, "It became apparent to me after I'd written the track that it would be a real piss take on the English press. The fact that they will pick up on it and create something out of it. If you can create that much trouble in one vocal, then let's create some trouble. For us, it's just about doing what we want, doing it our way and having fun. That's our way of just having fun. But it's serious in other ways, it's no joke. The song isn't meant to be taken like a joke. Luckily, the controversy wouldn't deter the song's success. The single would reach #1 in Finland, Sweden, and on the UK dance charts, while also charting highly throughout the rest of the continent, as well as across the pond in Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Following Prodigy frontman Keith Flint's passing on March 4, 2019, the song would place at number 23 on the Billboard Dance Electronic Digital Song Sales chart, a considerable jump from its debut on the Hot 100 chart at number 89. The music video, despite being taken off MTV, would be nominated for 4 separate categories at the 1998 MTV Video Music Awards and won 2 of them, one for Best Dance Video and another for Breakthrough Video. 4 years later, the song would air on MTV2 fully uncensored during a special called Most Controversial Videos. As recently as 2020, the influence of the song would also appear in video games. The game Cyberpunk 2077 has a main quest called Chippin' in which some of the protagonist's motions mimic those of the man in the music video, with a companion song on the soundtrack called Smack My Chip Up. Another game released later this year, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, has a side quest called The Prodigy, which includes a boxing match against a clergyman. While your character engages in the battle, a character you meet called Keith, named after frontman Keith Flint, yells "Smack My Bishop" from time to time. That does it for today's episode of Rock and Roll True Stories, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you again on Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.